Storytime with Grena. Hello everybody and welcome one more week to Storytime with Grena. I'm Grena Lawson, and this week is particularly special because it's the last you're going to see of me in a while. I know, I'm going to miss you a lot too. But the good thing is that since today is the season finale, I have something a little bit different prepared for you. But before we start with the new stuff, let's talk about last week. Last Friday I told you a story about that one time when I got out of a parking ticket because the cop turned out to be a former student who liked me a lot. Now, the important question is, was that story true or false? And the answer is... false. That's never happened to me. Some elements of that story were based on truth, but unfortunately, I've never managed to get out of a parking ticket. Such is life. And now, let's start with the season finale. Today, I have something different planned for you. In the next 7 minutes, I won't tell you a story and let you decide if it is true or false, but I'm going to tell you 3 stories. Do you know the game 2 Truths and a Lie? Well, it's going to be the same, but the other way around. 2 lies and a truth. So today I bring you the story of my name. As you know, Grena is not a very common name. In fact, I don't think I know anyone else called Grena. Anyway, where does that come from? Well, this is what you're going to find out today. I'm going to give you 3 options, and you decide which one is the truth, which will be revealed in September. Option 1. Grena is not a real name, but a misspelling of a different name. The name my parents wanted to give me was actually Greta, with T, like Greta Thunberg or Greta Garbo. In fact, the latter is to blame. Their intention was to name me after an old Hollywood actor because they were massive old Hollywood nerds, and they thought Greta Garbo was a brilliant actress. The problem is, where I live, Greta is not a very common name, and back when I was born, which was a few years ago, foreign names were not very common. When my dad went to register my birth, he said to the guy in the office that he wanted to call me Greta, but the guy misheard him or had never heard that name before, so instead of that he wrote Grena. Of course, my parents were not very pleased when they found out that I didn't get the name they had planned for me. But since changing a name is usually a huge hassle, they decided to keep it that way. So I've been Grena ever since. Option 2. Grena is not a single name, but actually a combination of 2 names. I'm the oldest sister, so people say that a lot of thought goes into naming the first child because, well, it is something special. And let's say that both my parents had very different plans for me. So when my mom found out that she was going to have a girl, she decided to name me after one of her great aunts who had died a few months before. That aunt's name was Natasha, and she thought it would be a very nice way to, honor her memory. But my dad thought it was a hideous name. So he was like, no, we cannot call her Natasha, it's horrible. And then when my mom asked him what he suggested calling me instead, he said Gretel. I have no idea where he got that from, but my mom was like, no way. We're not naming our daughter after a fairy tale character. Do you want all the kids at school to make fun of her? As you can imagine, they had a lot of arguments during my mom's pregnancy. And finally, a few months before I was born, they found a compromise. So they decided to call me both names, Gretel Natasha, which is a very weird combination, I must admit. They decided that the fairest solution to this problem was to call me Grena, to combine both names, even if my official name was Gretel Natasha. Actually, fun fact, I only found out that my name was Gretel Natasha when I was like 13 or 14, when I started high school. When they were doing the roll call, the teacher mentioned someone named Gretel Natasha Lawson. And well, since Lawson is not a very common surname, I was like, ooh, another Lawson in my class. And then I found out. And option 3, I was named after a D&D character. See, Grena is not my real name, because it's not a real name at all. It is a name I made up and decided to start calling myself. I've never related to the name my parents gave me, even though I am a cis woman. But that's definitely something I have in common with trans people. I always felt that the name my parents gave me was someone else's name, not mine. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's what it felt like. It felt like my name didn't truly belong to me, you know? So a few years ago, I had a group of friends who loved tabletop RPGs, and we started a D&D campaign I enjoyed a lot. The character I created for that campaign was called Grena, which was a name I made up myself. I've always had very good imagination. Grena was a character I related to a lot, but at the same time she was everything I wanted to be. She was very aspirational and inspirational to me, because she was brave, she was very, very confident, she was a little bit cheeky, she was very flirty and sexy. Oh, and she was a bard. So I decided that I wanted to be a lot more like her in my real life. And one of the things I did was adopt her name, because I felt that it suited me. Don't you think? Now, which one of these stories is the truth? Whatever it is, you will find out in the next episode of Storytime with Grena. See you in September, and of course, have a lovely summer.